practical astrology, the practical application of astrology in everyday life, let's talk about the practical applications for the planet Venus. Venus rules the second sign, Taurus, which is the sign that talks about having your basic survival needs met. It rules food, shelter, water, money, financial, and material possessions. So Venus rules over all of those things. Taurus is the fixed earth sign, so it talks about physical comfort and stability. So, on a personal level, Venus rules over your comfort zone, the things that make you feel safe and secure. Venus also rules Libra, which is an air sign, and talks about interpersonal relationships. So, on an interpersonal level, Venus also rules over relationships, both platonic friendships, romantic relationships, and even professional and business partnerships and relationships. Any one-on-one connection with another person, especially an ally or someone who is in mutual support with you, that connection is ruled by Venus. So in the video on Mars, we talked about Mars ruling competitors and people you have an adversarial relationship with, whereas Venus are the people who are on your team. Those are your allies. So on a practical level, when Venus is in Taurus, which is happening right now, this happens once a year, and it's a great time to go through your inventory, take count of all of your physical belongings and possessions, counting your sheep and your livestock. Taurus rules livestock. It also rules other types of stock, financial stock. The stock market is ruled by Taurus, represented by the bull. On the other side of the calendar year, when Venus is in Libra, she will also be in her home sign or domicile, but this will be a time to focus on relationships, focusing on your friendships and moving your romantic relationships into the next phase. This usually happens around what we call cuffing season. Watching Venus transits to see what sign Venus is in and what angles or aspects other planets form to Venus, and the aspects that Venus forms to your personal birth chart can all give you more insight into your financial situations and your relationships. Venus also rules beauty. As the ruler of Taurus, Taurus is the sign that rules our senses. So what we see, smell, taste, hear, all of our senses are ruled by Venus. Libra, the air sign that's ruled by Venus, is the more refined expression of beauty. It rules over fine art. The balance, represented by the scales of Libra, that symmetry is often associated with beauty. So a practical use for Venus is anybody who is at all interested in beauty or glamour, especially glamour magic. Venus placements and aspects are going to be important for achieving the right aesthetic and having people perceive you in the most pleasant way. So for example, the ascendant in your birth chart is the eastern horizon at the moment you were born, and that represents your physical appearance on a surface level. So Venus, the planet of style and beauty and aesthetic, transiting over your ascendant, the same degree of the eastern horizon at the moment you were born, that is a perfect time to unveil a new style or aesthetic. Venus is a benefic or a bringer of good fortune and represents having access to cash and resources, short-term cash flow. Jupiter is also a benefic or a bringer of good fortune, but it's the long-term benefic. Jupiter represents things that are really big, so it's a large amount of wealth or resources that represents long-term cash flow, generational wealth. So Jupiter, which takes 12 years to go around the whole zodiac, when Jupiter is, let's say, aligned with your natal Venus placement, which happens once every 12 years, that might be a good time to make the big purchase in a home or an asset that will last a long time and can be inherited by future generations. Jupiter transits to your natal Venus placement can represent moments of large amounts of money being moved, big long-term investments being made for the purpose of building future generational wealth. Jupiter in a trine or a sextile to your Venus is going to make this purchase go most smoothly with the least interference. Jupiter in a square to your natal Venus or opposition to your Venus, these are called hard aspects, and you're more likely to encounter difficulties if you decide to make a massive purchase during these times. Practical astrology really is a matrix that has all of these different layers. So you can look at transits and aspects like that, but you can also use planetary days for a practical planning purposes. Each of the 7 traditional planets is associated with one of the 7 days of the week. Venus is associated with Friday, named for the goddess Freya, associated with Aphrodite and Venus. In Spanish, Friday is named Viernes, named for Venus. Remember, Venus rules romance and romantic relationships. So if you set Friday night as date night every week, you are participating in practical astrology. The same way people who observe the Sabbath on Saturn Day are also observing practical astrology. We'll get to that in the Saturn video. And you can spice things up by adding another layer to that matrix and looking at the moon sign for each Friday and base your different dates every week off of what sign the moon is in. I've done one video like this in the past on Cancer moon date night ideas, and I think I'm going to continue that series.